All right, welcome, class of 2024, Eisenhower Counseling Department here, and we are really excited to welcome all of you to Eisenhower. We look forward to working with you for the next 3 years while you finish up your high school career. And just know that we will be your counselors the whole time that you're here at Eisenhower. And I would like to just take a minute for all of us to introduce ourselves before we get started with the scheduling presentation.
Hi, I'm Ms. Chappelle. I am the counselor for students with last name beginning with A through DA. I just recently joined the Eisenhower Counseling Department last school year at the end of January. So I was here for a bit before we all went home and started doing school from home. So I am enjoying my time here at Eisenhower, and I look forward to meeting you all soon.
Hello, welcome to Eisenhower High School. We are really excited to see you. I am Miss Kretschmer. You can call me Miss K if you'd like. And I have the pleasure of working with students with the last names beginning with DB through H.
Hi, I'm Mr. Vercel. Some students call me Mr. V. I work with students last names I through ME, and we want to welcome you to Eisenhower.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Steit. I work with students with the last names beginning with MI through SC, and I really look forward to meeting all of you.
And I'm Mrs. Dunn, and I work with students with the last name SD through Z. Okay, so we're going to get started with our scheduling presentation. Bear with me while I try and share my screen with all of you.
To look at the course selection document that you'll be using to pick your classes for your sophomore year of high school. This is a two-sided document. So we're actually going to start with the back side. It's a good way to map out your plan. So on this side of the document, you're going to use this chart to map out the courses that you will be taking in high school, as well as including classes that you've already taken. So you'll see that there's a column for each grade level. So you'll want to fill in for each content area what you had in 9th grade, and then what your plans are for 10th, 11th, and 12th. This helps map out to make sure you're meeting all of your graduation requirements. And while we're here looking at this, it makes sense to go over and review what your minimum graduation requirements are for each content area. So now we're going to look at each row. So for English, you'll have 4 credits of English. So you'll have an English class all 4 years of high school. For social studies, there's a minimum of 3 credits. These are 3 specific credits that you will take. For science, there's also a 3 credit minimum. Specifically, you will have to take biology, as well as either chemistry or physics. For math, there's the graduation requirement of 4 credits. So again, you'll have a math class each of your 4 years of high school. For world language, the graduation requirement is a minimum of 2 years of a world language. Many students choose to do 3 or 4 years, but the minimum requirement is 2. This is also good to keep in mind for what your plans are or potential plans are for after high school. Many colleges and universities want to see at least 2 years of a world language as well. For health and PE, there's 1 semester each of a graduation requirement, so a semester of health and at least 1 semester of PE or gym classes. Many students like to take physical active classes each year. So many of these classes, fortunately, are allowed to repeat for credit for PE. And then for electives, you will have at least 4 credits of electives. At least one of those must be a VPAA. Ms. Kretschmer will go over that here in a moment. Overall, you will have to have at least 22 credits as your minimum total for graduation. Most of you will have 24 credits or more potentially, just based on the fact that you can earn 6 credits each year of 4 years. So most of you will be beyond that minimum total. Okay, now looking at the front page of the document, this is where we're specifically going to look at your request for 10th grade. On the left side of the document, there's a career goal that can be helpful to fill in just to help us know what your potential plans are for after high school. If you're not sure yet, it's okay to put undecided. And then there's a little box here with instructions. This is a review on how to enter your selections in PowerSchool, which again, this video will review later on, as well as other resources that are available to you regarding your schedule selections. For each of the core content areas, English, social studies, science, and math, we made it pretty easy for you to check box. So check which course you need to take for that content area for 10th grade. Math, there are a few options, and it's really important that you do discuss this with your current math teacher. There's no longer a signature required from your math teacher, but it's very important that you do discuss this, so we have a yes or no box. This will help make sure that you're on track, not only with your graduation requirements, but that it does support what you intend to do after high school. On the right side of your document, there is the first box is for electives. You'll want to keep in mind if your electives that you're selecting are either a semester long or a full year. Ms. Kretschmer will be reviewing that in a moment on how to identify that for each course, but there is a line for each of your courses. If there is an A semester and a B semester, there's enough space there for you. The next box is for alternate choices. This is really important that you do fill this out. Sometimes we have students that want to skip that box and not include information. But then that means if there's no alternate choices, that sometimes we have to make choices for you, and it's not always what you want to have. So make sure you have good alternates in there in case your first choice electives are not available. And it is helpful if you do actually list them in order of preference. So for your number one alternate, that really should be the class that you would like to have most if one of your first elective choices isn't available. At the bottom here, we do have a spot for you and a parent to sign this document. It's important that you and your parents are on the same page when it comes in, when talking about what your plans are for after high school, as well as the courses you're taking. There are also some other documents that may be needed, which will be reviewed later in this video. And this document should be completed and your selections should be entered into Unified Classroom by April 16th. And also the physical paper form should be turned into the counseling office in your junior high. There should be a bin available for you to turn your form into that basket. And next, Ms. Kretschmer will be talking to you about the course guide.
Hello. So the other scheduling piece here is a course selection guide. And it is organized by department. So here at the high school, we have many classes, as you can see, and it is all organized by the separate departments. Every class has a paragraph description on our Utica homepage. So you can also review the Utica homepage under academics, and it will give you a paragraph description of what you can expect to learn about in each class. There are several columns on the course selection guide. Just kind of a note, Ms. Chappelle went over the high school graduation requirements, but to just keep in mind, your course selection should also reflect what you want to do after high school. So there are many options that everyone will be choosing what's best for them. So if you are, a college-bound student, make sure you research that college and see what classes they're going to want to see. In addition to graduating from high school, you may also be preparing for going into whatever program you're choosing to go into. So on the course selection guide, just to kind of familiarize yourself with how to read it, the first column are the course codes, which is extremely important. So make sure that when you are entering these on your scheduling sheet, that you are entering them precisely, because that is the code attached to the course title, which is in the next column. The third column over, you're going to want to be focusing on which classes a 10th grader can take. In every single year, you'll get more and more options available to you. So anything with 10th grade, you are eligible to request. The next column, which I know that you all are familiar with year-long classes, and you're also, which would be 1 credit, you're also familiar with semester-long classes, right? Like your gym and your health. Those are semester-long classes. Those are a half a credit each. something new to you that we have here at Eisenhower are 2-credit classes. So some of the 2-credit classes, and this example we're seeing is not available, for 10th graders, but before you know it, it'll be time to schedule for 11th grade. So just so you're aware, as you're kind of mapping out your 4-year plan, some of these classes are 2-credit classes, which means you stay in the class. So when the bell rings and when you switch over to the next class, you would actually stay in that 2-credit class for 2 hours, and they are year-long classes. So you can get excited about that if there's an area you really want to dive into to learn about. The next column is the code column. So Ms. Chappelle mentioned everyone needs a visual performing applied arts credit. Anything with a V next to it, and you'll see at the bottom, there's a whole reference list for you of what classes can be repeated, for example, and which classes count as that visual performing arts credit. The next column is very important for you, and that is the prerequisite column. Some of our classes require you to take 2 classes at the same time. For example, our student store, if you would like to work in our student store, you also need to be enrolled in another business class. So make sure you pay attention to the prerequisites. Also, a class like chemistry requires Algebra 1. So some of the prerequisites are not as obvious as before you take French 2, you must have French 1. So make sure you pay close attention to the prerequisite column. Also, some of our classes require applications and admission. So what you'll need to do is locate the application on our Schoology page, fill out the application, and then the teacher will let you know and your counselor know when you get accepted. And until you get accepted, we will be entering the alternate choices into your schedule. And then once you get accepted, we will delete the alternate class and put in your desired class. Let's see, codes, applications, prerequisites, and again, the course descriptions are available on our Utica website. So have fun choosing, lots of variety here.
Thanks, Mrs. Kretschmer. One other form that you students may need is the Eisenhower Advanced Placement Accelerated Honors Commitment Form. So as a student entering Eisenhower High School, you have the option of taking some advanced placement and honors courses. We have a long list of them in our course selection guide. But I do need you to know that if you choose to take honors English or an accelerated math class or AP US history next year, we do ask that you fill out this commitment form and that you and a parent initial and sign this. The reason that we're doing this is so that you understand the workload that is required of you before you enter into the course, and that you also understand that the commitment is for the year. So we know that sometimes jumping into an advanced placement or an honors course can be a bit of a struggle at the very beginning of the school year, especially if you're not used to that pace and rigor. But we feel very strongly that once you get acclimated to the class, you'll find that you are very well placed. And if it was a class you chose at the end of your 9th grade year, it's likely a class that you will be successful in. So that's why we have the commitment form, and we want to make sure that you understand that you are committing to taking the class for the full year. So this will be filled out and signed and turned in with your schedule when you turn it into your counselor's office after spring break. Another thing I want to show you guys is that you will be entering your schedules into PowerSchool through ClassLink. So your ClassLink is going to look a little different than mine because mine is an administrator's ClassLink. But if you would click on your PowerSchool app, it should open up to Unified Classroom. And then from there, we will be including a video with detailed instructions about how to go into Unified Classroom and request your courses. So the information that I have had from your junior high counselors is that this is how you guys entered your schedules in last year. So just know that we're not asking you to do anything different than you've done in years past. It's just that the classes that you're going to see in this unified classroom, there's going to be a lot more of them because Eisenhower has a lot of options available to you for 10th grade. So it might feel a little bit different when you go in and schedule it, but you'll see that, you know what, I remember doing this last year. So the only advice that I can really give you is make sure that you have written down all of the classes that you want to pick before you go into Unified Classroom and start selecting them, because the classes are listed alphabetically. And if you're trying to find, say, you know, marketing, you have to go through several pages of electives before you get, alternates before you get to that marketing class, which is in the M's. So don't give up on that, but it's much easier if you've written everything down ahead of time. And just to remind you, we really do want a paper copy of this form. So if you don't have access to a printer, we can make arrangements to get a digital copy of the form from you. But for those of you who either have a printer or have access to a printer, that would be the most desirable way for us to get a copy of this form, is for you to actually print it out and hand it into your counselor. So we're going to go through and show you where this information is available to you through Schoology.
Okay, so you guys are very familiar with Schoology already. You are working in courses for all of the classes that you have right now. When you are logged into your Schoology, if you go to groups, at the top of the page, you will see a group in there that you've recently probably been added to, and it's called Class of 2024. And this is going to be the Schoology group that we will be communicating information with to you for the next 3 years. So while you're in that group, if you go to the left tab, you're going to see a file called Resources. Click on Resources, and in there you will see a folder, the very first folder that says Scheduling Materials for the Class of 21, or for 21-22 school year. So if you click on that link, in there you will see all the documents necessary for scheduling. So some of the ones that you just looked at and additional ones. The very first one is called a checklist. And we put that in there to make this easier for you if you want to print this, or you just keep this tab open and check things off as you do it. It's up to you. You don't need to turn this in to us, but this is there so that you know all the steps that you need to do to ensure you are scheduling the right way. The very first item on there is to watch the video that you're watching right now. And then it's to download all the forms from Schoology or Eisenhower's website, complete those forms, which we've covered, print them. If you didn't complete them online, print them. Get the signatures, do the AP forms. We have optional things on there and required things on there for you to do. There's videos. Input your schedule by the 16th, and then bring all your materials with you. Once you've checked off all those boxes, you're good, and your scheduling process is pretty much complete. So if you close out that tab and you go down the list, the next thing you're going to see on there is the fillable card that Mrs. Chappelle touched upon. You're going to see the course offerings that Mrs. Kretschmer just talked about, and then you're going to see the AP fillable commitment form. Underneath that, you're going to see a link to a video, and that link will walk you through all the steps to input your schedule into Unified Classroom if you don't know that. Underneath that link, you're going to see a PDF with the same instructions. So if you don't want to watch the video, you can download the PDF and follow the same steps. Underneath that, you'll see a Flex application form, and that is if you, let's say you're playing sports and you don't have room for a PE or something like that, you can fill out this Flex application form, and with all the appropriate paperwork down the road, you could flex out of that class. And that is something that you can talk to your 9th grade counselor more about if you have questions. In the resources page, I also want you to see something else in there. Below the scheduling materials, you're going to see a link or a PDF file that says schedule an appointment. When you open that up, you're going to find that you have access to schedule a virtual appointment with your counselor at Eisenhower by scanning the QR code or by clicking on our name, and that will take you directly to our bookings link, which will allow you to schedule a 5-minute scheduling appointment. And then if you have questions that are specific to Eisenhower while you're completing this process, you can do that, and it will have openings in our schedule already. that are available. If the time slot that you're looking for is not available and you want to email us, that is fine too. So the bulk of all the information is going to be in that Schoology group page, and you should have that by the time you see this video. You should have that group already added to your Schoology page. The other place you could go to find information, or at least print documents, is Eisenhower's website. If you go to uticak12.org and go to schools and find Eisenhower, you'll end up on our home page. Under academics, if you go to counseling, that will take you to the counseling webpage. And over there on the right-hand side, you'll see scheduling materials for the 21-22 school year. Right now it says will be added soon, but again, by the time you see this video, all of the materials will be there. You'll have the fillable form, you'll have the course selection sheet, you'll have the AP commitment form. The rest of the documents will all be in Schoology. So there are 2 locations where you can access this material, and if you need anything more than that, then you will let us know, but I think it's all going to be there. Mr. Versell, it's on you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stice. Over the next 3 years, we want to make sure that you make the most of it, and you're going to have a lot of decisions to make. And while you're through this time, we want you to know, as Mrs. Stice was saying, we're here to help you. We want to answer your questions. So we're actually going to be hosting a virtual question and answer session on March 25th and on March 30th during our student support time. So she showed you how you can log on and contact us, whether it's through the link through Schoology or getting the QR code and doing that. Make sure you touch base with us because we want to make sure that your questions are answered. We just also want to remind you that you will need to input your schedule into Unified Classroom by April 16th. And then when you're finished with that, you want to make sure to remember to turn in your schedule and your AP form to your counselor. They're going to have a basket in the counseling office, and make sure you do that by April 19th. So again, we're looking forward to getting to know you over the next 3 years, and just thanks for listening. We're looking forward to working with you.
Bye. Bye-bye.